Alrighty, how's it going, everyone? February 2nd here. It's a Saturday. And we're going to be going over the broad general market and include Friday's price action as well. So if this is your first time to the channel, I do Canadian MJ reviews daily and also a broad stock market analysis every day. And if you do find value from my content, I would really appreciate a subscription. My goal for this month is to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I would really appreciate it if you guys would hit the subscribe button. It is free, and without further ado, let's get into it. So S&P is looking very bullish. It's just continuing upward. Last key level I was really watching was, I would say, up here at 266.98. We kind of had we bumped up against it on this day, rejected, a couple more days of consolidation, and then boom, this is where we passed through it. Thursday, and then Friday's action right here. So, I'll say it again. I've said it before several times. Just a V-shaped recovery, and our next level is all the way up here. It's kind of like a triple top of resistance, so it's really not that far away. It is entirely possible that the S&P can rally to that point. Now, whether if it's in a straight line or maybe we consolidate for a couple days, form a higher low, and then continue upward. All I can say, there's no real red signs glaring me in the face. We haven't lost any key supports. Let's go look at the hourly. Ooh, okay. I would say this is okay. So maybe on the hourly time frame, we could see some daily consolidation if we lose the hourly uptrend. So the level we have to hold is 268.95, this low right here. We briefly touched it on Friday, but we need to see if the bulls can come out of the gate strong on Monday morning, because if we lose that level, then we may consolidate, which by no means would be a huge red flag. I mean, we've had this major run up. It's just been a huge bounce, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens from there. So moving on to Apple, and again, this is why I didn't want to jump into Apple. And I could be totally wrong, of course, but as I was saying, Apple was in a daily downtrend. So in my mind, there's no reason to start averaging in positions until this daily downtrend breaks. And we did break with conviction last week, and we initially broke, I think 2 weeks ago, right here, and we broke this little lower high on the daily time frame, broke above it, started closing above the the middle Bollinger Band, that red line there, started closing on the daily above that level, and then boom, we got a huge gap up last week, and we broke several levels of resistance. So that is an excellent sign for the bulls. So what I'm going to be looking for is, of course, to form a higher low and then continue upward. So right now I'm going to be keeping an eye on the hourly trend, which, it's kind of hard to tell. I wouldn't say we've broken it with conviction. It would have been nice to hold 166.21, but if we do see some downside, I'll be keeping an eye on the hourly downtrend, because if we do break down, it'll become an hourly downtrend, and I'll look for that downtrend to shift to an uptrend, and that's when I will be scouting for a position. All right, Facebook. Facebook is a similar deal to Apple, in the sense that we are on a daily downtrend for months, many months, right? No reason to buy in as long as we're in a daily downtrend. Now, that has changed. We had a huge gap up this past week. Huge gap up. That's really big, actually. I would wait personally to let it settle a bit. I don't think we're just going to go rocketing up to all-time highs. So, I'll be keeping an eye on the hourly time frame. I'll be watching this. So I believe I pointed this out in my other video. We're going to be in a tightening range. So here's where we opened. We ran up to here, consolidated Thursday, and then Friday it got really tight. We have to hold 165 if the bulls want to see another run, right? But if we don't hold 165, that's okay. We closed at the support that we needed to hold, right? So if we break through that bearish on Monday, that's okay. We had a big gap up, and gaps do like to close. So the main point of it is that we broke up, and we broke several levels of resistance. 2, 3. We already did break this lower high over here, and that's what originally got me interested in Apple. and then boom, just a huge move up. So daily consolidation really would be okay, and I would prefer that so I could get a good entry on a higher low. So right now it's just a gap up, but again, keep an eye on that hourly trend. And if we break bearish, that's okay. We need that consolidation anyway. And that's what I'm going to be looking for. NFLX. Some upper wicks past 2 days. It's not the best. Still closing above the middle Bollinger Band. That's good. I said this would potentially become a daily equilibrium, so that very well could be our lower high compared to this high on the daily time frame. So now we need to set a higher low in retrospect to this low down here, and if this low down here breaks, that's a red flag. And if bulls can push up past 358, then that's a good sign in my opinion. Okay, Amazon. Whoa, that's pretty wacky. Thursday was a really good day, and I would have said that's bullish because we broke past this previous high. Had a big, decent upper wick, nothing too crazy. What's going on here? What's going on with Amazon? Okay, we gapped down, opened, and we kind of sold off. So they might have had, I think they had earnings. Probably nothing too crazy with their earnings. But yeah, that's kind of almost a fake out. We briefly broke that resistance level over here with like no follow through, and pretty much started going sideways and down, and then the gap down and some more downside during the close. So on the daily time frame, we're gonna have to, I've said this, if this low right here breaks, and this is so weird, this is bizarre. See, this is, and I don't trade in Amazon, I don't really invest in them, but it's just, this isn't very clear. It's kind of choppy in support wise. So I would have said the low of this candle right here was support that we must hold, and we clearly broke it, closed at the low of the day, and then the next 2 days was just like bull move, and then Friday was just like nope, gap down, bear move. It's that's kind of fishy. I'd be extremely frustrated if I was trying to trade this stock. So yeah, I guess I would say this low has to hold 1590.72. But yeah, other than that, if the bulls really come through, then next level of resistance is up here at 1784. Okay, oil. I do want to talk about oil. I do have, I believe it's a 5-figure position in oil now. So yeah, I'm pumped for that. We did, so like I said before, this 54.54 level right here had to break. So we briefly broke it in a big upper wick, which wasn't too comforting, and then Friday's close was pretty strong. Closed near the high of the day, which is good. So I want to take out the weekly. Okay, and why I really like it too is because on the weekly time frame. So the weekly time frames are just more not conservative, but if there's a true bull move, like you will see it on the weekly time frame. And this is a very strong uptrend played out over a year plus. So these trends are the same on all these time frames. It's just the more you zoom out, the longer the time frame is. So the fact that we kind of broke past weekly resistance, so we had a little bear flag here, then a final dump, and here's the high of that bear flag, and we actually did close above it, and that is that 54.54 level. So we'll see if we can get some follow through, maybe test this middle Bollinger Band as the first level of resistance. But I am in UWT, which is a leveraged ETF. So if we come and check that out, I believe there will be significant opportunities. But it is risky. You do have time decay, and because it's a 3 times leveraged ETF. But if oil can really start going, my goal is for 20. So that would be a little more than 33% of a gain for me if I could hold that. So that's what I'll be looking at. And gold. So gold has seen some really nice follow through on the daily time frame recently. As you can see, we highlighted this tightening pattern, and then we did break bearish, but not a whole lot of follow through, just kind of sideways, and then boom, popped right up. This was a huge statement from the gold bulls, and we've seen several days of follow through. So if you are invested in gold, good job. I haven't really touched on nat gas too much. Haven't covered it in probably a week, but I don't feel as comfortable with natural gas as I do oil. I was just looking at the very long, zooming out for it, and it's, I just feel like we're kind of in a dangerous area. We're hitting these lows, and there's, we're right at support right now. There's another support level just below it, and then really there's there's not too much left. Maybe all the way down here at 2.55, but we could definitely go to 2.55. We're at 2.796 right now. So we could have some room to the downside. I would be cautious with natural gas. I don't like to trade things I'm not comfortable with, and I would definitely be careful with natural gas. It we saw this huge spike, but then boom, huge sell-off following. So that's pretty much it, guys. Just want to do kind of a weekly or a recap of Friday's action as well as my thoughts in general. If you have any questions, please do comment. I like to hear what you guys are all thinking. I like when Modern Picasso comments, and we always got JD commenting, which is awesome. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about Apple, Facebook? Are you guys bullish, bearish, and why? Maybe what time frames are you looking at? Me personally, maybe with Apple or Facebook, I would try to hold it for maybe 6 months, depending on what the S&P does, or until that daily trend changes back to bearish. So hopefully we're catching the beginnings of a daily uptrend. So, alright guys, that's it. I'm going to do probably a more in-depth MJ video tomorrow, so stay tuned.